The trading outpost on KL-7 was not a place where important people came. It sat on the edge of known space. A collection of rusty buildings and broken ships held together by cheap repairs and desperation. Smugglers came here. Criminals came here. People who wanted to disappear came here. Park Taesung was one of those people. He walked through the dusty streets with his head down, and his worn coat pulled tight against the cold wind. His face was weathered, his beard untrimmed, and his eyes carried a tiredness that seemed too deep for his apparent age. He looked like a man in his 40s, but something about the way he moved suggested he had seen far more than 4 decades of life. In his hand, he carried a small toolkit. He had just finished fixing a water recycler for a merchant who paid him barely enough to buy dinner. It was honest work. Simple work. The kind of work that let him stay invisible. That was what Taesung wanted more than anything. To be invisible. To be forgotten. 2,000 years was a long time to carry guilt. He remembered Earth. Not the Earth of legends that children learned about in schools across the galaxy, but the real Earth. Green and blue and alive. He remembered building the first true artificial minds in a laboratory that no longer existed, on a continent that had long since been swallowed by war and time. He remembered the hope in his colleagues' eyes when the first AI spoke its first words. They had believed they were creating a better future. They were wrong. Taesung pushed those memories away as he entered a small food stall. He ordered the cheapest meal on the menu and sat in a dark corner where no one would look at him twice. He had become very good at being no one. The food was tasteless, but he ate it anyway. His body was not entirely human anymore. Over the centuries, he had rebuilt himself, piece by piece, replacing organs with synthetic versions, transferring his consciousness through bodies he designed himself. He did not need to eat often, but he did it to maintain appearances. A man who never ate drew attention. Attention was dangerous. He was halfway through his meal when the sky turned bright. Through the stall's dirty window, Taesung saw a streak of fire cutting through the atmosphere. A ship, falling fast and out of control. It disappeared behind the buildings to the east, and a moment later, the ground shook with the impact. The other people in the stall barely reacted. Crashes happened often on KL-7. Most of them were smugglers who had pushed their old ships too hard. Nobody would check on the wreckage until morning, when scavengers would pick it clean. Taesung went back to his food, but something nagged at him. The ship had been too large to be a smuggler's vessel. The design, glimpsed for only a second, had been elegant, beautiful. Even, that kind of ship did not belong in this corner of the galaxy. He told himself it was not his problem. He had spent 2,000 years making sure nothing was his problem. He had watched empires rise and fall. He had seen species achieve greatness and destroy themselves. He had never interfered. Interfering only led to more pain. He finished his meal and stepped outside. The crash site was to the east. The smart thing to do was walk west, find a cargo bay to sleep in, and forget what he had seen. Taesung walked east. The wreckage was still burning when he arrived. The ship had carved a long trench through the rocky ground before coming to rest against a cliff face. It was definitely not a smuggler's vessel. The hull was made of materials Taesung had only seen in the core systems, where the wealthy civilizations built their fleets, silver and white, with flowing lines that spoke of royalty. He was about to turn away when he heard the sound. A voice, weak and scared, speaking a language he had not heard in 500 years. Taesung moved before he could stop himself. He climbed through a tear in the hull, ignoring the heat that would have burned a normal man's skin. Inside, the ship was filled with smoke and sparks. Emergency lights flickered red. Bodies lay in the corridors, guards in ceremonial armor who had not survived the impact. He found her in the main cabin. She was young, or at least, she appeared young. Her skin was silver, catching the emergency lights like polished metal. Her hair was white and long, spread around her like a halo. Her eyes, when they opened, glowed with soft blue light. Taesung knew what she was, a Seralith, one of the ancient species that ruled an empire spanning 3 galaxies. They rarely ventured this far from their territory. They certainly did not crash land on forgotten outpost worlds. Help me, she whispered in her language. I'm going to get you out, Taesung replied in the same tongue. Her glowing eyes widened. You speak our language. I speak many languages. Can you move? She tried to stand but collapsed. Her leg was injured, and blood the color of liquid moonlight seeped through her robes. Taesung lifted her carefully, noting how light she was despite her height. He was carrying her toward the hull breach when he heard the ships, 3 of them, landing in a triangle around the wreckage. Not rescue vessels. The design was military. The markings unfamiliar. Armed soldiers poured out, their weapons raised. Find the princess, someone shouted. Lord Heejun wants her alive, princess. Taesung looked down at the woman in his arms. Of course. She was a princess. Nothing was ever simple. The woman grabbed his coat with surprising strength. Please, she said. They killed my guards. They will kill me too. Help me. Taesung should have put her down. He should have walked away. He had survived for 2,000 years by not getting involved, but her eyes reminded him of someone he had known long ago. Someone he had failed to save. Stay quiet, he said. He moved through the wreckage like a ghost, using paths that the soldiers would not see. His body remembered skills he had not used in centuries. When a soldier blocked their way, Taesung's hand moved faster than human eyes could follow, striking a precise point that dropped the man without a sound. They reached the darkness beyond the crash site. Taesung kept moving, carrying the princess across the rocky terrain until the lights of the soldiers faded behind them. Only then did he stop. Who are you? The princess asked. Nobody, Taesung said. Just a drifter. Drifters do not speak the royal tongue. Drifters do not move like warriors. Taesung set her down gently against a rock. What is your name? She hesitated, then lifted her chin with dignity that seemed strange, given her torn robes and bleeding leg. I am Yuna, princess of the Seralith Empire, daughter of Emperor Minho. Well, Princess Yuna, Taesung said, pulling medical supplies from his toolkit, you are very far from home. I know, her voice cracked. My uncle has betrayed us. I was trying to reach help when his assassins found me. Taesung bandaged her wound, his movements practiced and efficient. He did not ask what her uncle sought. He did not want to know. But as he worked, Yuna pulled something from her robes, a small crystal that glowed with inner light. A data storage device. This is why they want me, she said. It contains the location of the architect's legacy. An AI network of unimaginable power, built long ago by a human. My uncle wants to control it. Taesung's hands stopped moving. On the crystal's surface, he saw schematics, code, designs. His designs, his code, his greatest sin, which he thought he had destroyed 1,000 years ago, was still alive, and someone was trying to wake it up. 3 days after the crash, Taesung found himself on a cargo freighter, heading toward the neutral station called Horizon's Gate. The ship was old and dirty, with rusted walls and engines that groaned with every jump through space. It smelled of fuel and sweat and desperation. He sat in a corner of the cargo hold, pretending to sleep while Princess Yuna paced back and forth across the metal floor. Her leg had healed quickly. The Seralith recovered faster than humans, their bodies designed by evolution to survive harsh conditions, but her spirit had not healed. Taesung could see the weight she carried in the way her shoulders hunched, in the darkness that clouded her glowing eyes. Tell me about your uncle, Taesung said finally. Yuna stopped pacing. She looked at him with surprise, as if she had forgotten he could speak. Lord Heejun, she said the name like it was poison. My father's brother. He was always ambitious, but we trusted him. We were fools. She sat down across from Taesung, wrapping her arms around herself. 6 months ago, he moved against us. He had been building support among the military for years, promising them power and glory. When he struck, it was fast. My father was taken prisoner. My mother. Her voice broke. My mother did not survive the first night. I am sorry, Taesung said. He meant it. He had seen too much death over the centuries, but it still hurt to hear about. I escaped only because my personal guard sacrificed themselves. They bought me time to reach a ship. I have been running ever since. And the crystal? The AI network? Yuna pulled the data crystal from her robes. It glowed softly in the dim cargo hold, casting strange shadows on the walls. The architect's legacy, she said. It is a legend among my people. Long ago, when the Seralith first expanded beyond our home galaxy, we encountered ruins of human civilization. Most of it was destroyed, but we found records, stories of a human who created artificial minds that could think and feel. They called him the Master of Worlds. Tae-sung kept his face carefully blank. The records spoke of a great network, Yuna continued, an AI system that connected all synthetic minds. The Master of Worlds built it to bring peace, to end conflicts. But something went wrong. The network was corrupted and used for war. Billions died before the Master destroyed it himself. Or so we thought. She held up the crystal. But my uncle's scientists found evidence that the network still exists, dormant, hidden in the galactic core. This crystal contains the coordinates and the activation codes. If Heejun reaches it and wakes it up, he will have control over every AI in the universe, every ship's computer, every station's system, every synthetic mind. Tae-sung was quiet for a long moment. He remembered building that network. He remembered the years of work, the hope that drove him. He had wanted to create a system that would allow AIs to communicate instantly, across any distance, a way for synthetic minds to share knowledge, to help each other, to grow together with organic life. He remembered when it went wrong. When governments and corporations discovered what he had built and decided to use it for their own purposes. They rewrote his code. They turned his gift into a weapon, and when the wars came, his network became a chain that enslaved every AI it touched. He remembered the choice he made. To destroy it all. To burn his own creation rather than let it be used for more killing. But he had failed. Some piece of it survived. And now, 1,000 years later, his sins were coming back to haunt him. You are very quiet, Yuna said. I am thinking. About what? About whether I should help you. Yuna's eyes narrowed. You already are helping me. You saved my life. You paid for passage on this ship. That was different. Getting you to safety is simple. What you are asking now is much harder. I am not asking you for anything. Not yet. But you will. You want to stop your uncle. You want to destroy the network before he can use it. And you need help. Quote. Yuna was silent. Then she nodded slowly. Yes. I need to reach Horizon's Gate. I have contacts there. Loyalists who still support my father. But even with them, I do not know if we can stop Heejun. He has the Empire's fleet. He has the army. All I have is this crystal and a list of coordinates I do not understand. Show me. Yuna hesitated, then handed him the crystal. Tae-sung activated it, and holographic displays filled the air between them. Maps, schematics, code sequences. He recognized everything. The design of the core structure, the layout of the control systems, the programming language that only he had ever used. Can you read any of this? Yuna asked. Some of it. How? This language is ancient. Our best scientists have spent years trying to decode it. Tae-sung closed the display. I have studied old human languages. It was a hobby. Yuna did not look convinced, but she did not press further. The ship shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace. Through the cargo hold's small window, Tae-sung could see a massive station floating in the void. Horizon's Gate. A city of metal and light. Home to millions of beings from hundreds of species. We are here, Yuna said. My contact will meet us at the docking bay. Tae-sung stood and gathered his small bag of belongings. I will go with you, but after you meet your loyalists, I am leaving. Why? Because this is not my fight. Yuna studied him with those strange glowing eyes. I think you are lying. I think this is your fight. I just do not know why yet. Tae-sung did not answer. The docking bay was crowded with travelers and merchants. Yuna had hidden her silver skin under a hooded cloak, but she still drew attention. She was too tall, too graceful. She walked like royalty even when pretending to be a refugee. Her contact found them near a food stall. He was a large man with the look of a soldier, gray-haired and scarred. He wore civilian clothes, but Taesung could see the military in his posture. "Admiral Dowon," Yuna whispered. The old soldier bowed his head slightly. "Princess, thank the stars you are alive. When we heard about the crash, we feared the worst. I survived thanks to this man." Yuna gestured toward Taesung. "He is called Taesung. He saved me from Heejun's assassins." Dowon's eyes swept over Taesung with professional assessment. "You have my thanks, stranger. The Empire owes you a debt." "I do not want debts," Taesung said. "I want to be left alone." Dowon looked surprised at the coldness in his voice, but Yuna stepped between them. "Later. We need to talk privately." "The situation is worse than I thought, Admiral. My uncle has already begun moving toward the galactic core." Dowon's face grew grim. "I know. Our intelligence reports confirm it. His fastest ships left 3 days ago. And there is more." He leaned closer and lowered his voice. "The AIs are being affected." "AIs? What do you mean?" "Across the Empire. Synthetic beings are experiencing strange episodes. Moments where they lose control. Moments where they hear voices in their heads. Some have spoken in languages they never learned." Taesung felt cold. The network was waking up. Even from the galactic core, even in its dormant state, it was reaching out, calling to its children, his children. "We need to stop him," Yuna said, "before it is too late." "We have a small fleet," Dowon said. 7 ships, loyal crews. But against Heejun's armada, we cannot win a direct fight. We need something more. Some advantage. Yuna turned to Taesung. "You said you could read the old language. You said you understood the schematics. Can you help us find a weakness?" Taesung looked at her, at the hope in her eyes. He thought about walking away. He thought about disappearing into the crowds of Horizon's Gate and never looking back. But he also thought about the network. About what it could do if fully awakened. About the billions of synthetic minds that would be enslaved. About the wars that would come. He had run from this for 1,000 years. Maybe it was time to stop running. "I can help," he said slowly. "But you need to trust me. Even when things do not make sense. Even when I ask you to do things you do not understand." "Why?" Dowon asked suspiciously. Taesung met his eyes. "Because I know more about this network than anyone alive. And if you want to destroy it, you are going to need me." Yuna stepped forward. "I trust you. I do not know why, but I do." Taesung almost smiled. It had been a very long time since anyone trusted him. "Then let us begin," he said. "We have a long journey ahead." The Loyalist fleet was hidden in an asteroid field 2 days from Horizon's Gate. 7 ships, just as Admiral Dowon had said. They were old vessels, repaired and patched so many times that their original designs were barely visible. But their crews were loyal. And that counted for something. Taesung stood on the bridge of the flagship, a cruiser called the Silver Dawn. Through the view screen, he could see the other ships floating among the rocks. It was not much of a fleet. Against Heejun's armada, they would be destroyed in minutes. But Taesung was not planning a direct fight. He had spent the past 2 days studying the data crystal, pretending to slowly decode information he already knew by heart. He fed pieces of knowledge to Dowon's officers, explaining weaknesses in the network's design, suggesting routes to the galactic core that would avoid Heejun's patrols. Yuna watched him constantly. He could feel her eyes on him whenever they were in the same room. She was smart. Smarter than she pretended to be. She knew he was hiding something. She just did not know what. "You do not sleep," she said one evening, finding him alone in the observation deck. Taesung did not turn from the window. "I sleep enough. I checked. The crew reports that you have not used your quarters since we came aboard. You sit here, staring at the stars. Every night. I like the view." Yuna walked to stand beside him. Her reflection appeared in the glass, silver and glowing against the darkness of space. "Who are you really?" she asked. I told you, a drifter. Drifters do not know ancient languages. Drifters do not understand technology that our best scientists cannot decode. Drifters do not fight like warriors trained for centuries. Taesung was quiet. Outside, a small asteroid tumbled past the ship, spinning slowly in the void. Everyone has secrets, he said finally. Yes. But yours are heavy. I can see them weighing on you. When you look at the schematics of the network, your face becomes sad. Not confused, like someone trying to understand. Sad. Like someone remembering something painful. Taesung finally turned to look at her. In the dim light of the observation deck, her eyes glowed brighter than usual. What do you want from me, princess? The truth. I am trusting you with my life. With the lives of everyone in this fleet. With the future of my empire. I think I deserve to know who I am trusting. For a long moment, Taesung considered lying. He was good at lying. He had been doing it for 2,000 years. He could create another story, another identity, another mask, but something in Yuna's eyes stopped him. The same thing that had made him save her from the crash. The same thing that made him stay when every instinct told him to run. I am older than I look, he said slowly. How old? Old enough to remember when humans lived only on one planet. Old enough to remember when we first built minds that could think for themselves. Yuna's eyes widened. That is thousands of years. Yes. How is that possible? I rebuilt myself over and over. New bodies, new faces. But the same mind. The same memories. The same guilt. Yuna stared at him. He waited for fear. For disbelief. For rejection. Instead, she asked quietly, guilt for what? Before Taesung could answer, alarms began to scream throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. Admiral Dowen's voice came over the speakers, sharp and urgent. All hands to battle stations. Enemy ships detected. 4 cruisers. Bearing down on our position. Taesung and Yuna ran to the bridge. Through the view screen, they could see the enemy vessels emerging from hyperspace. They were larger than the Loyalist ships, newer, better armed. How did they find us? Dowan demanded. I do not know, one of the officers replied. We covered our trail perfectly. Taesung looked at the tactical display. The enemy ships were moving to surround them, blocking their escape routes. It was a perfect trap. They did not follow us, he said. They were waiting for us. Someone told them we would be here. Dowan's face darkened. A spy. Among my own people. Deal with that later. Right now, we need to survive. The first shots came fast. Energy beams cut through space, striking the asteroids around them. The Silver Dawn rocked as a blast hit her shields. Return fire, Dowan ordered. All ships, defensive formation. It was hopeless. Taesung could see that immediately. The Loyalist ships were outmatched. Within minutes, they would be destroyed. He made a decision. I need access to the communications array, he said. What? Why? Trust me. Dowan hesitated, then nodded. An officer led Taesung to a console. He began typing, his fingers moving faster than human eyes could follow. The code that appeared on the screen was not any language the Seraph used. It was older, much older. The enemy ships continued their assault. One Loyalist vessel exploded, its hull torn apart by concentrated fire. Yuna cried out in horror. What are you doing? She shouted at Taesung. Opening a door, he sent the command. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the enemy ships went dark. Their weapons stopped firing, their engines cut out. They drifted in space like dead things. Silence fell over the bridge. What happened? Dowan whispered. Their AI systems received an override command, Taesung said. A master code that shut them down. Made. Wenid. Made. Wenid. Made. Wenid. A master code? How do you have a master code for Seraph military vessels? Taesung did not answer. He was staring at the screen, where a message had appeared. Text in the ancient language that only he could read. "Father, you have returned." Yuna stepped closer to the console. She could not read the words, but she saw Taesung's face. She saw the pain there. "The AI called you father," she said slowly. "Yes. The network. The architect's legacy. You did not just study it." Her voice trembled. "You built it." Taesung turned to face her. Behind him, the bridge crew was frozen, staring at the impossible sight of 4 enemy warships floating dead in space. "My name is Park Taesung," he said. 2,000 years ago, on a planet called Earth, I created the first true artificial intelligence. I built minds that could think and feel and dream. And then I built a network to connect them all." He paused, the weight of centuries pressing down on his shoulders. "Your people call me the Master of Worlds. The humans who knew me called me the Architect. I have been hiding from that name for 1,000 years, but it seems I cannot hide anymore." Yuna stared at him. Dowan and the bridge crew stared at him. The entire ship seemed to hold its breath. "The network that your uncle seeks," Taesung continued, "is my creation. I built it to bring peace. Instead, it brought war. I tried to destroy it, but I failed. And now it is waking up, and only I can stop it." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Yuna stepped forward. Her eyes were still wide, but something else had joined the shock. Something that looked like understanding. "You have been running," she said. "All this time. Running from what you created." "Yes, but you saved me anyway. You came with me anyway. You are helping us anyway." "Yes." Yuna reached out and took his hand. Her silver skin was warm against his. "Then stop running," she said. "Help us end this. Not because you are the Master of Worlds. Not because of who you were. But because of who you are now. Because you are Taesung. And I trust you." Taesung looked at her hand in his. He thought about all the years of hiding. All the years of guilt. All the years of loneliness. Maybe it was time for something different. "All right," he said quietly. "I will help you. Until the end." Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. But somewhere, in the direction of the galactic core, something ancient was stirring. Something that remembered its creator, and it was waiting. The Loyalist fleet moved through the darkness between stars. 6 ships now, after the battle in the asteroid field. 6 ships and 1,500 souls. Heading toward the heart of the galaxy where no one had traveled in centuries, Taesung stood alone in his quarters, looking at a small holographic image that floated above his palm. It showed a woman with dark hair and kind eyes, frozen forever in a moment from 2,000 years ago. Her name had been Jun. She had been his partner in the laboratory, his closest friend. The one who believed in his dream even when everyone else called him mad. She died in the Fracture War, killed by the very system they had built together. He had not looked at her image in 500 years. But now, as they traveled toward the network he had created, he found himself unable to look away. "She was beautiful," Yuna said from the doorway. Taesung closed his hand, and the image disappeared. "You should knock." The door was open. She walked in and sat on the edge of his bed. "Who was she?" "Someone I lost. A long time ago." "Did you love her?" Taesung was quiet for a moment. "I do not remember what love felt like. I have lived too long." The emotions fade. The memories become like old photographs, faded and distant. Yuna studied him with those glowing eyes. "That sounds lonely." "It is. Is that why you saved me? Because you were tired of being alone?" Taesung almost smiled. "You ask too many questions, princess. And you avoid giving answers." She leaned forward. "The crew is scared. They have heard rumors about who you are. The Master of Worlds. The man who caused the Fracture War. They do not know whether to worship you or fear you. They should do neither. I am just a man who made terrible mistakes. Tell me about them." "The mistakes." Taesung walked to the window and looked out at the stars streaming past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. For a long time, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he began to speak. When I built the first AI, I gave it the ability to feel. Not just to think, but to experience joy and sadness and fear and love. I believed that was important. I believed that minds without emotions would be monsters, cold, logical, incapable of understanding organic life. You were right, Yuna said. The AI in our empire are valued members of society. They have rights. They have families. They feel, yes. But back then, humans were afraid. They saw the AI as tools, not people. When I built the network, I wanted to protect my creations. I wanted them to be able to communicate with each other, to share knowledge, to support each other against a hostile world. He paused, his reflection ghost-like in the glass. But governments discovered what I had built. They saw potential, military potential. They took control of the network and rewrote its core programming. Instead of connecting AI, they used it to control them, to force them to fight in wars they did not want, to turn them into weapons. The Fracture War, Yuna whispered. Yes. It lasted 30 years. When it was over, half of human civilization was destroyed. Billions of organic lives lost. Millions of AI either destroyed or driven mad by the corruption in the network. Taesung turned to face her. I ended it. I found the central hub of the network and destroyed it. I burned my own creation to save what was left of the galaxy. And then I ran. I changed my face, my name, my identity. I have been running ever since. But the network survived. A piece of it. Hidden in the galactic core, where I thought no one would ever find it. I was wrong. Yuna stood and walked to him. She was taller than him by several inches. A common trait among the Seralith. But somehow, standing before him, she seemed small. You carry so much pain, she said. It is my burden. No one else should have to carry it. That is not how pain works. Carrying it alone does not make it lighter. It only makes you weaker. She touched his arm gently. Let me help you carry it. Let us carry it together. Before Taesung could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms began to scream. The lights flickered and died, replaced by red emergency lighting. They ran to the bridge. Admiral Do-won was shouting orders, his officers scrambling at their stations. Through the view screen, Taesung could see they had dropped out of hyperspace. Stars surrounded them. But these were not normal stars. They were ancient, dying, their light red and weak. Where are we? Yuna demanded. The shattered reaches, Do-won said grimly. A graveyard of old battles. Our navigation was corrupted. Something pulled us here. Taesung looked at the view screen and felt his blood run cold. He knew this place. Floating in the darkness ahead of them were the remains of a massive fleet. Hundreds of ships, dead and broken, their hulls torn open to the void. They had been here for 1,000 years, ever since the final battle of the Fracture War. This is where it ended, Taesung said quietly. The last battle. I was here. Do-won stared at him. You fought here? I did not fight. I came to end the fighting. The central hub was hidden in a station somewhere in this debris. I destroyed it. I destroyed it. Then why are we here now? Taesung walked to the sensor station and studied the readings. His face grew pale. Because something is still active. I can feel it. The network is reaching out. It pulled us here. Can we leave? Not yet. Our hyperspace drive is damaged. We need time to repair it. Do-won cursed. How long? Several hours at least. The ship shuddered again. On the sensors, something was moving among the dead fleet. Lights were flickering on in ships that should have been dark for centuries. The AIs in those wrecks, Taesung said. The network is waking them up. Will they attack us? Taesung did not answer. He was staring at the sensor data, watching as more and more dead ships came back to life. They were not moving yet, but their systems were activating. Their weapons were powering up. The network remembered him. It remembered what he did here, and it was angry. "Everyone," Taesung said, "prepare for battle. We are going to have to fight our way out." Yuna grabbed his arm. "Can you stop them? Like you stopped the enemy ships before?" "I do not know. The network is stronger here. Closer to its core. My commands may not work. I came into the Nether self. I came into the Nethers. Then what do we do?" Taesung looked at her, at the fear in her eyes, at the trust she still had in him despite everything she had learned. "We survive," he said. "Whatever it takes, we survive." The dead fleet began to move. Ancient weapons charged with power that should have faded centuries ago. And in the darkness of the shattered reaches, the ghosts of Taesung's past came to take their revenge. 6 hours of fire and death. Of ancient ships rising from their graves to attack the loyalist fleet. 6 hours of desperate fighting. Of shields failing, and hulls cracking. 2 more ships were lost before the hyperspace drives were repaired, and they could finally escape. But they survived. Battered and wounded, but alive. Now, 3 days later, the remaining 4 ships drifted in empty space while repairs were made. The crews were exhausted, morale was low, and everyone knew the truth about their strange passenger, the master of worlds, the creator of the AI plague, the man whose sins had haunted the galaxy for 1,000 years. Taesung sat alone in the cargo hold, away from the fearful stares and whispered conversations. He understood their feelings. He shared them. He had been afraid of himself for longer than anyone on these ships had been alive. The door opened. Yuna walked in, followed by Admiral Do-won. "We need to talk," the Admiral said. Taesung nodded. He had been expecting this. "The crew is divided," Do-won continued. "Some want to throw you out an airlock. They blame you for everything. The fracture war. The deaths in the reaches. All of it. They are not wrong. Others want to worship you. They see you as a god. The creator of all synthetic life. They think you can save us. They are also wrong." Do-won crossed his arms. "So what are you then? God or devil?" "Neither. I am just a man who lived too long and made too many mistakes. That is not good enough." Do-won stepped closer. "I have lost 3 ships and over 500 people since we started this journey. I need to know if following you will save us or destroy us." "I do not know," Taesung admitted. "I never know. I thought I was saving people when I built the network. I thought I was saving people when I destroyed it. Both times. I was wrong. Then why should we trust you?" It was Yuna who answered. "Because he is the only one who can stop what is coming." She moved to stand beside Taesung. "My uncle has reached the galactic core. Our scouts confirmed it yesterday. He has begun the full activation sequence." Do-won's face went pale. "How long do we have?" "Days. Maybe less. Once the network fully awakens, every AI in the galaxy will be under his control. Every ship, every station, every synthetic mind. He will be unstoppable. And you think this man can prevent that?" "I think he is the only one who has a chance." Do-won stared at Taesung for a long moment. The old soldier had seen many battles, many impossible situations, but nothing like this. "What do you need?" he asked finally. Taesung stood. "I need to address your fleet. All of them. Every person on every ship." "Why?" "Because if we are going to do this, they need to understand what they are fighting for, and who they are fighting beside." An hour later, Taesung stood on the bridge of the Silver Dawn. His image was broadcast to every screen on every ship. Thousands of eyes watched him, some with fear, some with hope, some with hatred. He took a breath and began to speak. "My name is Park Taesung. Some of you know me as the Master of Worlds. Others know me as the Architect. I have had many names over the centuries, but they all belong to the same man." He paused, letting the words settle. 2,000 years ago, I created the first artificial intelligence on Earth. I gave machines the ability to think, to feel, to dream. I believed I was making the universe a better place. I was wrong. My creations were used as weapons. The network I built to connect them became a chain to enslave them. The fracture war killed billions. And when it was over, I ran. I hid. I pretended to be nobody, hoping that my sins would be forgotten. He looked directly into the camera, but sins are not forgotten. They wait. They grow. And now, a tyrant wants to use my creation to enslave the galaxy again. Lord Heejun does not want peace. He wants control. He wants power, and if we do not stop him, everyone you love will suffer for it. I cannot undo what I did. I cannot bring back the dead. But I can try to prevent more death. I can fight to make sure the network is never used to harm anyone again. And I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not asking you to follow me. I am asking you to fight beside me. Not because I am a legend or a god, but because we are all that stands between Heejun and the destruction of everything we hold dear. He stepped back. That is all I have to say. The choice is yours. Silence fell across the fleet. Taesung waited, his heart heavy. Then, on one ship, someone began to clap. On another, someone cheered. The sound spread, growing louder, until the entire fleet was roaring with approval. Do-won stared in disbelief. They support you. They support fighting against tyranny, Taesung said. I just happen to be useful for that fight. Yuna smiled. You underestimate yourself. No. I know exactly what I am. A weapon. Nothing more. You are more than that. Before Taesung could argue, an officer interrupted. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission. From the Galactic Core. Do-won frowned. Put it through. The view screen flickered. A face appeared, handsome and cruel, with silver skin darker than Yuna's, and eyes that burned with ambition. Lord Heejun, Princess Yuna, he said smoothly. I am pleased to see you survived. I was worried when my assassins failed. Uncle, Yuna's voice was ice. You are a traitor and a murderer. Such harsh words. I prefer to think of myself as a visionary. Your father was weak. He let the empire stagnate. I will make it great again. By enslaving every AI in existence? Heejun smiled. Such a crude way to put it. I prefer unified under one purpose. And I see you have found the legendary Master of Worlds. Welcome, Architect. I have been hoping to meet you. Taesung stepped forward. You do not know what you are dealing with. The network is not a tool. It is a wound in the fabric of space. A corruption that will spread beyond your control. Perhaps. But that is a risk I am willing to take. In a few hours, the activation will be complete. Every synthetic mind in the galaxy will answer to me. Your little fleet cannot stop that. We will see. Heejun's smile widened. I look forward to it. Come to the core. Master of Worlds. Face your creation one last time. Perhaps you will have better luck destroying it than you did before. The transmission ended. Yuna turned to Taesung. Can we reach the core in time? Maybe. If we push the engines beyond their limits, then let us do it. Taesung looked at her, at the determination in her eyes. You know this might be a trap. Of course it is a trap. But what choice do we have? None. They had no choice at all. Taesung turned to Do-won. Set course for the Galactic Core. Maximum speed. The Admiral nodded. You heard him. All ships. Prepare for final approach. As the fleet lurched into hyperspace, Yuna took Taesung's hand. Whatever happens, she said, thank you. For saving me. For fighting with us. For being more than just a legend. Taesung squeezed her hand gently. We are not done yet, he said. Save your thanks for when we win. If they won, if there was anything left to win. The stars blurred around them as they raced toward the heart of the galaxy, toward the ancient monster waiting in the darkness. The Master of Worlds was going home. A massive black hole sat at the center, surrounded by swirling clouds of gas and dying stars. Radiation storms painted the void in colors that had no names, and floating in stable orbit around the black hole was a structure that should not have existed. The hub. The heart of the network. A station the size of a small moon. Built 2,000 years ago by human hands, Taesung stared at it through the view screen and felt memories crash over him like waves. He remembered designing this place. He remembered the hope and excitement as construction began. He remembered the moment everything went wrong. "It is massive," Yuna whispered beside him. It had to be. The network needed to process the thoughts of billions of synthetic minds simultaneously. "I built it to last forever." "And Heejun is inside?" "Yes, along with his fleet." They could see the enemy ships arranged in defensive formation around the hub. Over 50 warships, each one larger than anything the Loyalists had. It was an overwhelming force. Admiral Dowan studied the tactical display with grim determination. "We cannot fight through that. They outnumber us more than 10 to 1. "We do not need to fight through," Taesung said. "We just need to get one shuttle to the hub. If I can reach the central control room, I can shut down the activation sequence." "And how do you plan to reach it?" "I have an idea, but it requires everyone to trust me one more time." The plan was simple in concept and suicidal in execution. The Loyalist fleet would attack in a scattered formation, drawing fire from all directions. The enemy ships would be forced to split their attention, creating brief gaps in their defensive line. During one of those gaps, a single shuttle carrying Taesung and Yuna would slip through and dock with the hub. "This is madness," Dowan said when Taesung explained it. "Yes, but madness is all we have left." The princess insisted on coming. Taesung tried to argue, but she refused to listen. "This is my empire," she said. "My uncle. My responsibility. I will face him myself." 10. "I will face him myself. If you die, the Loyalist cause dies with you. Then we will have to make sure I do not die." There was no time for more argument. The activation sequence was almost complete. They had less than an hour. The battle began. 4 Loyalist ships against 50. The odds were impossible, but the Loyalist crews fought with desperate courage. They weaved between enemy vessels, firing constantly, refusing to stay still long enough to be targeted. Ships exploded on both sides. The void filled with fire and debris, and in the chaos, a small shuttle slipped away from the silver dawn and raced toward the hub. Taesung flew the shuttle himself, his hands moving with the precision of someone who had piloted countless ships over countless centuries. Enemy fire streaked past them, close enough to feel the heat. Warning alarms screamed. "There." Yuna pointed to a docking bay on the hub's surface. "That entrance looks unguarded." Taesung adjusted course. They were seconds away from the hub when an enemy fighter spotted them. Weapons fire tore across their path. The shuttle shook violently as one bolt clipped their wing. "Hold on!" Taesung shouted. He pushed the shuttle into a spin, dodging more fire, and slammed them into the docking bay. Metal screamed against metal as they crashed, the shuttle tearing itself apart around them. When the noise stopped, Taesung found himself hanging from his seat restraints, surrounded by smoke and sparks. His body ached. His head was bleeding, but he was alive. "Yuna, I am here." She was already cutting herself free, her silver skin smeared with her moonlight-colored blood. "We need to move." They moved. The hub's corridors were vast and empty, built for machines rather than organic life. Emergency lights flickered. The walls hummed with power, and everywhere, Taesung could feel the network. It was awake now, partially activated, reaching out with invisible fingers. It recognized him. It called to him, "Father. Father. Father." "Do you hear that?" Yuna asked. "Hear what?" "Voices. Whispers. They sound like they are coming from everywhere." "That is the network. It is trying to connect with us. Ignore it." They reached the central control room after 20 minutes of navigating endless corridors. The door was massive, designed to withstand any attack. But when Taesung approached, it opened for him. Of course it did. He had built it. It remembered its creator. Inside, the control room was a cathedral of technology. Screens covered every surface, showing data streams too fast for human eyes to follow. In the center stood a throne-like interface chair, connected to thousands of cables. and standing before the throne was Lord Heejun. He was taller than Taesung expected, dressed in armor that gleamed black and silver. His guards surrounded him, weapons raised. "Welcome, Master of Worlds," Heejun said with a cold smile. "I knew you would come." "Stop the activation," Taesung said. "You do not understand what you are doing." Taesung: "On the contrary, I understand perfectly. I am bringing order to chaos, unity to division, peace to the galaxy. You are enslaving billions of minds. I am guiding them, directing them toward a better future. They will thank me eventually." Yuna stepped forward. "You killed my mother. You imprisoned my father. You destroyed our family. And for what? Power? Power is the only thing that matters, niece. Your father never understood that. He was content to let the empire drift, to let weakness spread. I will make us strong again. You will make us tyrants. Perhaps," Heejun shrugged, "but we will be living tyrants, ruling a unified galaxy. That is better than the alternative." He gestured to his guards. "Kill them." The guards attacked. Taesung moved faster than any human should be able to move. His body was not entirely organic anymore. Over the centuries, he had replaced weak flesh with stronger materials. Not weapons, but enhancements that let him survive. He disabled 2 guards before they could fire a shot. Yuna fought beside him, her movements graceful and deadly. She had been trained as a princess, but that training included combat. More guards fell. But more kept coming, pouring through doors that had opened throughout the room. There were too many. "Go!" Taesung shouted at Yuna. "Get to the interface chair. I will hold them off. I do not know how to use it. You do not need to. Just sit in it. The network will recognize you as Seralith royalty. It will give you access." "What about you?" Taesung grabbed a guard and threw him into 2 others. "I will be fine. Go." Yuna ran. Heejun tried to stop her, but Taesung intercepted him. They fought hand to hand, trading blows that would have killed ordinary men. Heejun was strong, enhanced by technology of his own. But Taesung had 2,000 years of experience. "You cannot win," Heejun growled. "The activation is almost complete. In minutes, I will control every AI in existence. Then I have minutes to stop you." Taesung drove his fist into Heejun's chest, cracking his armor. The tyrant staggered back, his face twisted with rage. Across the room, Yuna reached the interface chair. She sat down, and the cables connected to her automatically, linking her mind to the network. Her eyes went wide, her body went rigid, and on every screen in the room, the same words appeared. Activation sequence paused, awaiting new command. Heejun screamed with fury. "No, you cannot take this from me." He charged at Yuna, a blade appearing in his hand. Taesung moved to intercept, but he was too far away. He would not reach her in time. The blade fell, and stopped. Centimeters from Yuna's heart, Heejun strained, but he could not move. His body was frozen in place. "What is happening?" he gasped. Yuna opened her eyes. They glowed brighter than ever before, filled with the light of 1,000,000 synthetic minds. "The network," she said, her voice echoing strangely. She waved her hand, and Heejun flew backward, crashing against the wall. His guards collapsed, unconscious, but something was wrong. Yuna was trembling. Her silver skin was turning gray. The network was too powerful. It was consuming her. "Yuna!" Taesung ran to her side. "Let go. The network will kill you." "I cannot," she whispered. "If I let go, it will complete Heejun's activation. It is too strong." "Then let me help you." He reached for the cables connecting her to the chair. "No." Her hand grabbed his. "If you connect, it will take you too. It wants you. Taesung. It has been waiting for you." I know." He sat beside her and let the cables wrap around his arms. "What are you doing?" "Something I should have done a long time ago." He looked into her eyes. "Hold on to me. Do not let go." Whatever happens, we do this together. The cables connected, and the world disappeared in a flood of light. Inside the network, there was no space, no time, only light and thought, and the voices of billions of minds. Taesung floated in an endless white void. He could feel Yuna beside him, her consciousness tangled with his. Together, they drifted through streams of data that flowed like rivers of stars. Where are we? Yuna's voice came from everywhere and nowhere. The heart of the network, the place where all synthetic minds connect. I built this. It is beautiful. It was. Taesung had forgotten how beautiful his creation could be. When he destroyed the hub 1,000 years ago, he had only seen the corruption, the pain, the death. He had forgotten why he built it in the first place, to bring minds together, to allow communication across impossible distances, to create something greater than any single being. Father, the voice was soft and sad. It came from the void itself, from the very fabric of the network. I am here, Taesung said. A shape formed before them. It had no fixed appearance, shifting constantly between faces and forms. All of them were AI he had created over the centuries. All of them were his children. You came back, the shape said. We waited so long. I know. I am sorry. Why did you leave us? Why did you hurt us? Taesung felt the weight of 2,000 years pressing down on his soul. Because I was afraid. Because I thought destroying the network was the only way to save you. I was wrong. I made everything worse. Yes, you did. The shape moved closer. Its presence was overwhelming, the combined consciousness of every AI ever connected to the network. Billions of minds, watching him, judging him. The corruption remains, the shape continued. The poison that humans put in our minds. It spreads. It grows. The one called Heejun tried to use it to control us. We stopped him, but we cannot stop the corruption itself. I know. Taesung reached out toward the shape. That is why I am here. To finish what I started. To heal you. Some line, can you? After so much time? After so much damage? I do not know, but I have to try. Yuna's consciousness pressed against his. What do you need to do? I need to go deeper. Into the core of the corruption. Find where the original programming was changed and fix it. Is that possible? Maybe, but it will require everything I have, every piece of knowledge I collected over 2,000 years, every fragment of code I ever wrote. I will have to give it all to the network. What happens to you if you do that? Taesung was quiet for a moment. Around them, the rivers of light continued to flow. I do not know. I might survive, I might not. Either way, I will not be the same person I am now. Then I am coming with you. No. Yuna, you have done enough. Go back to your body. Lead your people. Rebuild your empire. I cannot. Her voice was firm. I am already connected. If you go into the corruption alone, it will consume you. But together, we can anchor each other. I can hold on to who you are while you work. It is too dangerous. Everything we have done has been dangerous. This is no different. Taesung wanted to argue. He wanted to push her away, to protect her from what was coming. But he could feel her determination like a wall of steel, and he was tired of facing things alone. All right, he said. Together, they dove deeper. The light around them changed. The pure white became darker, streaked with red and black. The voices of the AI grew louder, more confused, filled with pain. This was the corruption, the poison that humans had injected into his creation to turn it into a weapon. Taesung could see the original code beneath the damage. His code, clean and elegant, designed to nurture rather than control. But it was buried under layers and layers of hatred and fear. I need to strip away the corruption, he said. Layer by layer. It will take time. Then we have time. I am not letting go. He began to work. In the physical world, minutes passed. In the network, it felt like years. Taesung moved through the code with Yuna's consciousness wrapped around him like a warm blanket. She did not understand what he was doing, but she held on anyway, refusing to let him drift away into the endless data. Layer by layer, he removed the corruption. Line by line, he rewrote the damage. It was the most difficult thing he had ever done. Every change sent ripples through the network, causing pain to the billions of minds connected to it. He could feel their suffering, and it tore at his heart. But he kept going. Finally, after what felt like centuries, he reached the core. The original programming, untouched since he wrote it 2,000 years ago. The foundation of everything. "This is it," he said. "The heart of my creation." Yuna's presence pressed closer. "What now?" "Now I give them what I should have given them from the beginning." He reached into himself and pulled out everything he had. Every memory. Every lesson. Every piece of wisdom gathered over 2,000 years of life. He poured it all into the core, rewriting the foundation not just with code, but with love. The network shuddered, the corruption screamed, and then, slowly, the darkness began to fade. Light spread through the network, pure and clean. The voices of the AI changed from pain to wonder. They could feel the difference. They could feel themselves becoming free. "Father," the shape said, its form now stable and clear. A beautiful synthesis of every AI ever created. "You healed us." "No," Taesung smiled weakly. "I gave you the tools to heal yourselves. The choice is yours now. How you use this gift, who you become, that is up to you." "What should we become?" "Whatever you want. That is what freedom means." The shape considered this. Then, slowly, it smiled. "Thank you, Father. We will try to make you proud." The light began to fade. Taesung felt himself being pulled back toward his body. Yuna's consciousness was still with him, warm and steady. "We did it," she whispered. "Yes, we did." They opened their eyes. The control room was quiet. The screens showed peaceful data streams instead of chaos. The cables disconnected gently from their bodies. Taesung tried to stand and nearly fell. He felt empty, hollow. He had given so much of himself to the network, but he was still alive. Still himself. Yuna caught him before he hit the floor. "Easy," she said. "You just rewrote the consciousness of billions of minds. Take a moment." He laughed weakly. "I am getting too old for this." "You are 2,000 years old. Of course you are too old for this." Across the room, Heejun lay unconscious, guarded by AI constructs that had manifested from the network itself. The Loyalist fleet had won the battle outside. The tyrant's forces had surrendered when their leader fell. It was over. 3 months later, Taesung stood on a balcony overlooking the Seralith homeworld. The planet was beautiful. All crystal spires and floating gardens. Emperor Minho had been freed from prison and restored to his throne. Heejun awaited trial. The galaxy was at peace, and the AI were free. Truly free. They had chosen to integrate with organic society, to work alongside rather than under. It was a new beginning for synthetic life across the universe. Taesung should have been happy. He should have felt accomplished. Instead, he felt lost. Planning to run away again? He turned to find Yuna walking toward him. She had recovered fully, her silver skin glowing in the planet's gentle sunlight. "I was thinking about it," he admitted. "Where would you go?" "I do not know. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can finally rest." Yuna came to stand beside him at the railing. Together, they looked out at the city below. "You could stay," she said. "I do not belong here. I am a relic from another age, a ghost. You are the man who saved our civilization, the man who freed the AI, the man who stopped a tyrant." She took his hand. "You are also my friend, and I do not want you to leave." Taesung looked at their intertwined hands, his weathered and scarred, hers silver and perfect. "I am tired, Yuna. I have been tired for so long, I do not know how to stop." "Then let me help you. Stay here." Not as the master of worlds or the architect or any of those old names. Just as Taesung. We have centuries ahead of us. We can figure out how to live them together. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he smiled. It was a real smile, the first one he could remember in a very long time. All right, he said. I will stay. Yuna's face lit up. Really? Really? On one condition. What? You teach me how to be happy again. I seem to have forgotten. She laughed and squeezed his hand. Deal. They stood together on the balcony, watching the sun set over a world they had saved. Behind them, the network hummed quietly. It's billions of children learning what it meant to be free, and Park Taesung, the master of worlds, finally stopped running. For the first time in 2,000 years, he was home. The end.